Let's go. Let's go. What's up? What's up? What's up, folks? What's up, good people? This is Coach Smith, all the way live. What up, CB Critton? What's up, my man? Yes, yes. appreciate appreciate you joining, Coach Smith. Yes, yes, yes. Are you ready? Yes, yes, yes. I am live on IG, YouTube, and Facebook. Live on Coach Smith 27 tonight. Appreciate you guys jumping on. I'm not going to be long tonight. Just wanted to give some updates on what's coming up this weekend on my live interview this week, this weekend, this Saturday. So just wanted to give some upcoming interview information on Saturday and on next Wednesday with two very important people who I grew up with that have been very successful in the in the business of sports. And they're going to come on and talk about their recruiting experience. But for right now, I am your host, Coach Smith. Love the game 24_7, or Love the game 24/7. And just on briefly, right quick tonight, just to give, like I said, some update on some interviews that'll be coming up. And if you could just, if you're on YouTube Live, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Instagram, on Coach Smith, be sure you hit me up on IG on Coach Smith 27 and Love the Game 24_7. All right, what's up? What's up, Fish? On my IG. Oh, you're just going to a movie? Okay. Yeah, definitely reach out to me in the next few days, Fish. All right, be sure you do that. I'll be looking for you. So yeah, those some good people out here, man. I'm just trying to help you young boys, young girls, and young men and young ladies, and your parents, you young athletes out there. We're trying to make your way, trying to get your opportunity, trying to help your dream manifest, come to fruition, because it can. It's just some things you got to learn to do and be willing to listen, be coachable, right? So just ask yourself, hey, what am I trying to do in my sport? What am I, what are some things that I need to do to get, my full potential? Yes, sir. Come on out of retirement. I hear you. Oh, you back coaching? Okay. Back coaching at CCC? Yeah, I might have to jump on. I'm working on Fish. I'm working to be a referee right now out here in North Carolina. So I'm going through my referee training. For all you folks out here who don't know, Coach Smith is trying to be well-rounded in all facets of this thing, so I can try to help you young athletes out here know how to navigate through this recruiting process. So just ask yourself, what is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need to do? Oh, I hear you, Fish. Okay. Not coaching yet. Or you're thinking about it. Well, don't think too long. Get back out there, because these kids need it. And you got that experience from playing at Ole Miss and playing some pro ball, having that opportunity. So you got a lot to teach. Just like you taught the Newton kid that's out of Illinois that went second round. Part of your teaching, part of your coaching help him get to the next level. And that's what it's all about. And as you young athletes have to learn, as long as you have to ask yourself, am I coachable? Sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what is it that I can do better? All right, what is it that I need to do a better job of being focused on? Right, technique, right, and work on your technique on listening. Work on listening techniques. Work on doing those types of things, just like you work on your technique at your position. Be coachable, right? And so, that's what this podcast is all about. And I don't want you guys just to hear from Coach Smith. So I got some things lined up where I'm going to be bringing people to do interviews. And as a matter of fact, since Coach Fish has hollered at me on Instagram, definitely I'm going to have to get him on so he can talk about his recruiting experience that got him to Ole Miss to play football, a Texas kid growing up and getting into the SEC as a D lineman. So yeah, I got a lot of people that I'm going to be pulling on to come on the podcast and talk to you about their experiences, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? You got to learn how to pull from other people who've been there, who've been where you're trying to get to, young person. Parents, same thing. You got to learn how to listen, right? Because there's a lot of distractions with NIL, okay? There's a lot of different things. That's part of it. Transfer portal things. You know, you hear people saying, oh, you know, kids from high school aren't getting scholarships. That's not totally true. There are kids coming out of high school getting scholarships. We know there's never been a lot of scholarships for everybody to go. So what are you going to do, young, to make sure you get in line for your opportunity, right? Just be sure that nobody's outworking you. Nobody's outperforming you. Nobody's being more coachable than you, right? So you got to ask yourself these questions. What is it that I need to do to step my game up, to step my play up, to be sure I give myself opportunities that I'm looking for, right? So I'm thankful to be able to pull from some of my friends that I grew up with who made it to the highest level of where some of you young athletes are trying to get to in different sports, not just football. And I share more about that. It's not just about football. It's for you young boys, you young girls out there. I don't care what sport. Recruiting is recruiting, as I always say on Love the Game 24/7 with Coach Smith. Recruiting is recruiting. It's all about how you're going to, figure out how to get yourself some exposure, how to market yourself, how to promote yourself from your, from an integrity standpoint, not just your sport and how you grind and do all those things, because that's all a part of it. Absolutely, it's a part of it, but it's also what are you doing off the court, off the football field, off the pitch, right? Whatever sport you play, what are you doing on and off your field of play, your sport of play? Because it's about character, about integrity, what kind of teammate. Ask yourself, hey, am I a good teammate? What is it that I can do better to be a better teammate? Okay. A lot of you guys, I know the camps are starting to wind down, especially for football. I know for some other sports, camps are picking up for some other sports. Hey, I appreciate you guys joining me on Coach Smith 27 IG and YouTube. Be sure you follow, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Share, get the word out there. I'm doing things a little bit different with my podcast because I'm, coming from, I want you to hear from some actual people who've been there and done that. Right. And so, but as I said, the summer camps for some sports are winding down. I know for football it is. I know there's still a few camps that may be happening in July for some of the HBCU schools and some of the FCS Division I schools. They may still be having some camps, into this month and maybe, one or two next month, but pretty much July ends up for football. But I know volleyball has their things going on as well. I see that at my university here in North Carolina. Baseball have their thing, soccer. I see kids out there in camps, little kids at the university doing the soccer camps. So it's getting, the sports, team sports and college level are getting these kids in at a young age, right? I mean, we got the NBA draft going on right now. A lot of kids from other countries, not just the U.S. And that's a great and lovely thing, because, you want to be able to compete against the world best, in basketball, soccer, and those sports, and even baseball now, and a lot of other sports are becoming more global, right? And so it gives you, so you really get to know if you are one of the best in the world when you're competing against people from around the globe, around the world. So that's awesome, but you got some kids have been playing pro ball in their country in France and Italy since they were 13 or 14 years old, right? And so there's competition and you got to be prepared and ready for it. at every level. And so you got to ask yourself, young person, as an athlete, man, what am I going to be willing to commit myself to do, right? To get myself exposure, to get myself um, out there, in the know with the coaches in my sport, to hopefully get myself a scholarship opportunity, right? Because everybody's not going pro, but with NIL and different things like that, you might be able to make you a little, decent amount of money while you're in college, right? And that's great. So you got to ask yourself these questions, young athletes, young lady, young man, as you get older. What am I willing to do? I gotta talk to myself sometimes. I gotta look at myself in the mirror, right? And make sure I'm good in good space mentally. Sometimes you need to ask yourself, hey, am I in a good space mentally as well, to be able to accomplish what I'm looking for, to accomplish in my sport, in my academics, to get me the scholarship. And don't put too much unnecessary pressure on yourself. You have to love the game. You have to enjoy it, right? And that's what we're trying to bring on with Coach Smith and Love the Game 24/7, help you learn how to have a balance. You gotta be able to make it fun and love it. Learn, some you got to compartmentalize some things, like, hey, it's the team makes you have, right? And hopefully you're in a healthy place because you got good coaches that make sure that there's a healthy environment in their on their team. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to have a little issues here and there because we got people coming from different situations, economically, class, different classes, all kinds of things. And the great thing is we can bring people from all different walks of life and bring them together. And that starts with the coaches. That starts with operations, player personnel. That starts with recruiting, right? Because coaches want to bring in good athletes, good young ladies and young men that are not going to be cancers in the locker room or bringing an unnecessary atmosphere to the program. And so, young athlete, you got to ask yourself, hey, am I in a good space mentally? Parents, you got to be sure you're not putting too much pressure on them. Sometimes you got to allow your kid to let loose and do some other things, right? So I'm excited about these interviews coming up. One thing that definitely, as I go through doing some of these interviews, you young people are going to realize that everybody's process, everybody's path to where they want to be is not going to be the same as somebody else. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself on what you need to do, what you possibly need to improve upon, what you need to just, hey, continue, doing what you're doing, staying focused, do your best, not to stay down. Of course, everybody's going to have some letdowns, but you can't live there. You can't live in that space. You can't live in that environment, right? Just because you were let down about wanting to go to this particular school, but another door open up at another school. So just be thankful and blessed that you got an opportunity maybe to continue to play your sport and help your parents not have to worry about paying for your education. That's the ultimate goal right there, right? That's what you got to ask yourself. What can I do to help alleviate some financial burden off my parents who've already sacrificed so much? You hear on the NBA draft tonight, a lot of kids talking about how their parents sacrifice, family members sacrifice, right? Moving sometimes from one country. Some of these kids are moving from one country to another, right? So you don't have too much. Some of you kids locally here in the U.S., some of you all can compare with some of those kids. Some of you can't, but hey, like I said, it's not about comparing. It's just about, hey, ask yourself, what do I need to do? What do I need to make sure I commit to doing to help better my opportunities to fulfill my dream? And so during these interviews that we're going to have with the folks that I'm going to be bringing on, they're going to talk about their own personal experiences, right? And you're going to see when you hear some of these interviews, that how they are successful people, but everybody's path was different. And so you can't get caught up on what somebody else's path looks like. And just because somebody's path, you perceive it was better, and in some cases, yeah, it might have been better, but you don't know what that person has gone through to get, what they've received or what they're getting, the attention that they're getting, the opportunities that they're receiving. You don't know what they have gone through, and they don't know what you've gone through. So just appreciate the process. That's the big thing. Appreciate the process, right? Learn how to, that's right, my brother, appreciate you joining me. And Yeah, you got to run your own race. You know, if you get caught up focusing on how somebody else's process is going, then you're going to miss what you need to do for your process that you're going through. So get focused on your process. You can appreciate somebody else and make sure you give other people love and make sure it's genuine, right? Make sure it's genuine love for somebody else and that you appreciate, hey man, I'm happy, things are going well for you. I'm still over here grinding, man, making it happen for myself. But don't get, if you get too caught up looking at somebody else, you're going to miss what you need to see for yourself and what you need to work on. So focus on what you got to do so that way you don't miss something that you need to be paying attention to. Because if you get your focus and attention on something else or someone else and what you perceive, and oh man, they don't have any issues. You don't know what's going on over there. So don't worry about what's going on over there. But these interviews and different people, I have Pat Terrell coming up this Saturday, just to let you know. Pat Terrell, buddy of mine I grew up with from St. Petersburg, Florida, Lakewood High School. We got a lot of people coming out of Lakewood. Pat's going to join me Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 o'clock Central. Pat graduated the year before me, went to Notre Dame, but he's going to share his story because our path was similar in some ways because of the coach that we had to deal with as young athletes that we shouldn't have had to deal with, the struggles that we dealt with in trying to get recruited and not having the help from the high school coach that we should have gotten. But he's going to share. I'm not going to tell the story. I'm going to let him come on and share it, but he's going to share how his recruiting process went, what he learned, and who he learned things from to make sure that he got himself recruited and got himself the opportunities that he received. He'll talk about that, the different offers and things like that that he received. So I'm going to have, like I said, Pat Terrell, play 8-9 years in the league with. He was drafted second round to the LA Rams. Also played for the Jets, Carolina Panthers, and the Green Bay Packers. And I'm just going to share a little bit about. I'll share more on Saturday when I introduce him when we go live, and I will be live on Coach Smith 27. I got to get you all to start following Love the Game 24_7 as well. But I'm gonna go live on Coach Smith 27 Saturday, and I'm gonna be live. I'm gonna try to be live on YouTube, but I'm not sure, Facebook. But I'm definitely going to be live here Saturday, right here on Instagram. So be sure you join, spread the word, get your young person, mom, dad, coach, right? Get your folks on the live, right? Any you Notre Dame fans out there, that are getting the word. Like I said, we're going to have Pat Terrell. Pat played with a lot of great guys that came to the hometown. Jerome Bettis, all you guys remember Jerome Bettis, Tim Brown. A lot of these guys came to St. Pete when they were playing ball together at Notre Dame. Pat would bring some of his teammates to the crib. That's what we called it, the crib. And so I'm going to have him Saturday. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to have Dexter Rogers, who played basketball at Lakewood High School. We were together at Lakewood. Dexter went on to play college basketball. We both went to schools in Iowa, not too far from each other. And so Dexter's going to come on and talk about his experience from basketball on Wednesday night. Have him Wednesday night. I'll confirm the time. I think it'll be around 6 or 7 Eastern time. Next Wednesday, I'm going to have Dexter Rogers. But Dexter went from playing college basketball to being a pro beach volleyball player and being on the Olympic team and have an opportunity to be on the Olympic team and playing with Karch Karai. Anybody who knows pro beach volleyball knows Karch Karai, the name Karch Karai on beach volleyball and the U.S. Men's Olympic team for volleyball back in the day, back in the 90s, 80s and 90s. And so he's going to come talk about his recruiting experience and what he's doing now. And both of these guys are successful in what they're doing today. Pat's a successful entrepreneur and businessman, and so is Dexter. Has a volleyball academy that he has, and he's helped a lot of young ladies get volleyball scholarships even today through his volleyball academy. And so it's awesome what he's doing. And so that's why I say it's important, man, why you need to hear from people who've already been where you're trying to get to, share their story. Because, it's just a different day and time. It's still, everybody still goes through some similar paths. But the main thing is everybody's path has some differences. And if you just focus on what your path is and not putting your attention on what somebody else has going on, like I said, you'll lose focus on what you need to focus on for yourself. So you want to maintain focus on what you need to do for your path. You got to be careful, young person, about the distractions, right? Distractions will mess you up. Okay? So you have to be careful about the distractions, right? It's very important, parents, that you help your young athlete stay focused, your young lady, your young man, your young boy, your young girl, that they stay focused, right? Keep them, it's a balance, right? It's definitely a balance, and sometimes you got to let them take a break from doing the same old thing, same sport. They need to do something different sometimes, right? Mix things up a little bit. But, parents, that's where you come in at, and coaches. If I got any coaches out there listening to the live, or you're going to listen to this recording afterwards, you're a very important part too. You can't be a coach that's power hungry or controlling and hold things over your athlete's head. That's not good. That's not healthy. That's traumatic stuff. That kind of stuff needs to stop and be shut down. We don't have time for that mess anymore. Right? That's that kind of coaching is not coaching. You're supposed to be building up young people, confidence, and helping them grow healthy. And it's not about fear, trying to make someone scared, of you to help them. That never works. Okay? It's just been some people have just been resilient enough to not let it affect them and still get through. But I'm sure some people have been affected in a negative way, and they've had some issues in life, even though they still may have been successful. But maybe they could have been successful sooner if they didn't have some traumatic issues. That's some coaches can sometimes be at fault at doing some things, or parents can be at fault at doing some things, or even the athlete can be at fault at doing some things. Right? Everybody, we all play a part, and everybody has to be sure that they are healthy as possible and focused. Okay? And so that's what I'm trying to bring through Love the Game 24/7 podcast. But as I said, I don't want you guys just to hear from me, right? Ask yourself, those questions, that I like to hear and talk to some people who definitely who has been there and have experience that can share with you about the pitfalls that you have to be careful about falling into. And so we want to help alleviate those things. And there's some things that you need to experience, of course, but there's some things you don't have to experience. All right. You have to learn how to, you have to learn how to fight. Okay. Compete. And I'm not talking about fighting, like going to war, but in a sense you do. More than anything, you have to go to war with your own self sometimes, your own mental hangups or confidence. You're battling your own inner self, right? And so appreciate you guys joining, Lonzo. So yeah, you got to learn how to fight that mental battle, that mental war within yourself, right? And also fight that battle of not allowing distractions to pull you from focusing on what you need to do to help you improve your skill, help you develop like you need to develop. So you got to you can't, always be focusing on what somebody else is doing, right? You got to continue to just ask yourself, what's more important, right? What's more important, and what's more important is you focusing on what you need to do to help your development in your sport, whether you're a young female athlete or young male athlete, right? And parents, you got to have involvement. And I know when Pat Terrell comes on Saturday, he's going to share some of those things as well. Like we said, the importance of having parent involvement, all these things. He's going to talk about his experience. and some of you all are going to be able to relate to, you know, some of the things that he's sharing. Some of you may not, but you're going to be able to pick up some things from it, right? But and like I said, Dexter Rogers would share that same thing. You know, he was a really good basketball player that went on to be made a huge name for himself playing volleyball, playing pro beach volleyball with Coach Karai and those guys. So I'm excited to have these guys, and it's going to be more interviews coming up. I'm going to continue to reach out to some other people, coaches. I want you here, young athlete and parents that are dealing with this stuff. I want you to hear from as many different angles as possible, from athletes, from coaches, right? Even some parents, right? Because you need to know, right? Because some people don't know what they don't know, right? Because some of this stuff with the NIL has gotten out of control in some ways. I think it's important that we do have it, and they need to keep it, and the athletes deserve it, right? But some people can get in over their head with some of this NIL stuff that's going on because they don't know what they don't know, right? And you're trying to play this money game or whatever the case may be, and you don't even have a history or background of playing college sports in your family, possibly. You know, you may or may not, and even if you do, still, you'll be surprised that some people don't know what they don't know. And we want to be sure as parents that you're well equipped on how to help your young athlete through Love the Game 24/7 and Coach Smith, and listen to the podcast. And like I said, I don't want you always hearing from me. You need to hear from other folks who have been successful and who have been where you've been, or where you're trying to get to. They've been there, and they know, and they want to share. And I appreciate Pat coming on Saturday. Like I said, he's going to be here this Saturday at 10 Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. This Saturday morning. Then I'm gonna have Dexter on Wednesday night next week, between 6 and 7 Eastern time, right here live on IG. So be sure you get the word out, share it. I'm not going to be long tonight. I just want to come on and just tell you some upcoming interviews, and I'm going to have some more interviews coming along as well that I'm getting organized. I got another buddy of mine I got to get with that. He worked at several colleges and universities in the NCAA compliance for athletic programs at several universities. I'm going to have him come on, Morgan Walker, talk about compliance things, right? Things that you may not be aware of that you need to be aware of, right? And I know some of this, the thing people sometimes rely on, everybody's not going to do the research like they should. The information is out there, but a lot of people are not going to do the research. And that's where we come in at, because I know a lot of you all are not going to do the research, right? But we're going to do it. We're going to give you the folks that did these jobs, right? That worked in compliance in the athletic program at a college university. Like, I work in financial aid 25 years, so I know what you need to do for financial aid. Even though you're getting a scholarship, you're still eligible for financial aid and need to fill out your FAFSA, your federal application, right, for Pell Grant and possibly some institutional grant money and federal grant money and state grant money if you stay home in your own state. So even though you're getting a full scholarship, you still need to do your FAFSA application if you're possibly eligible to get some of those other funds that help put money in your pocket, right? So a lot of people, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. Just because you're getting a scholarship doesn't mean you can't get your federal Pell Grant if you qualify, because you can, right? And a lot of us needed that money to help mama, right? To help the family out back home, right? And so, but as I said, you don't know what you don't know, but Love the Game 24/7. Because if I don't know, I know somebody that does know, right? I may not have the answer right offhand, but I know how to get on the phone. I know how to email some people. I know how to text some people. I know how to find the people who can get the answers. Because I don't know it all. I know quite a bit, but I don't know it all. And I ain't afraid to admit that I don't know it all. But I do know some people who do. And I will get them on. If they're interested and want to come on the Love the Game 24/7 podcast, we're going to get them. Or I'll get the answer from them and come back and share it. All right. But if you want to get some detail, if you want to get more specific, if you want to get some personal coaching, all you got to do is partner with Love the Game 24/7, Coach Smith, and I'll tell you how you can do that. That's why I said about invest. I talked about that not too long ago. You know, you got to sometimes put some skin in the game, right? You got to put your money where your mouth is and get your young person some coaching, some mentoring, because we got to make sure they get developed, right? And at least get that degree or put them in the right circles, that if the opportunity doesn't come to play at the highest level in their sport after college, hey, we put you in the right place and network and get you connected with folks where you're going to have a great career and start out. You may go into coaching, you may work in sports, right? You may work for a TV network and doing something behind the camera, in front of the camera. Who knows? There's a lot of opportunities, man. You may be a trainer, you know, you may be an analyst, right? All this analytical stuff that's going on that they need help with. You might decide to go into, you know, and being a sports analyst, right? And do the analytics. There's a lot of opportunities to make some good money and make a good career after college if you don't make it to the highest level. But for those who might get that opportunity to make it at the highest level, we want to help you out as well. We want to help prepare you. But the ultimate goal is to get this scholarship, right? And that's what you got to ask yourself. And parents, you know, like I said on my last podcast on Saturday, you know, you athletes out there, you have more than one talent. And some talents in a sport are more dominant than another. And you got to figure out which one that you're dominant in, that you're getting a lot of attention in. You know, Pat Terrell's going to talk about that because he was a real good football and baseball player. And I just shared about how Dexter Rogers got a scholarship in basketball, but he ended up going into volleyball and having his own volleyball academy. You know, and he's traveling right now. That's why he'll be in California when we do our interview with him on next Wednesday. He'll be in California because he's out there doing a volleyball camp. So he's very involved and travels and does a lot with that and helping young ladies get their opportunity to get volleyball scholarships under his coaching and preparing. So he's helped hundreds of young ladies and athletes in volleyball get scholarship. That's what he does. And so you're going to hear it from these folks, not just from Coach Smith, but because of the relationships that I've been blessed to have. People from my hometown, a lot of them, but other places as well. But I've been blessed to meet a lot of people that come that I grew up with or I played ball with, you know, and I'm going to have them on and they're going to talk about their experience and share so that you'll understand, mom, dad, young athlete, that everybody's path is different. Even if you do make it, your path may not be getting drafted, or your path might be getting drafted. Okay? Doesn't matter. As long as you get that scholarship and you get yourself some opportunities, right? Even if you have to start at a lower division, right? But because of how the recruiting atmosphere is now, even if you go to a lower division, one day you will still, if you ball out at that lower division, you're going to give yourself opportunities to move up to a higher division because they'll take you if you're balling out. But you got to ball out. You just can't be average, and you shouldn't want to play a sport and just be average anyway, right? You should want to be dominant. You should want to be very impactful, right? Because you're putting a lot of time into your sport to do it, to do it very good, to be very good at it, to be great at it. And so you want to be able to reap the benefits from that hard work. Okay. And if more than anything, at least get your education paid for and open up avenues and doors for you to, to do some other things, right? In your sport or something, because you're going to have those opportunities. And so I just want to take that time tonight just to let you know what's coming up. So be sure, guys, join Coach Smith this Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 Central, with Pat Terrell, former NFL pro, now entrepreneur and businessman, has his own business where he does road construction, highways, airports, all that kind of stuff. And he'll share more about how he got into that. And you're going to be very interested on how you hear about how he got into doing what he's doing now, because he went from being a pro football player to an airline pilot to owning his own construction business. A lot has to do with how he grew up and his father and what his father, the business his father was in, and that his brother is, his big brother is doing right now. So you're going to hear from him Saturday morning this week, 11 a.m. Central. 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, excuse me. And then Dexter Rogers will join us on Wednesday evening between 6 and 7 Eastern time, right here on Coach Smith 27 Instagram. So I appreciate you guys. Get the word out. Come here with these talented young men, these young brothers of mine. And look forward to getting some other folks prepared as well to interview, because I want you to, Coach Smith and Love the Game 24/7 want you to hear it, not just from me, but hear from some other very important people, very influential people. And I want to help promote what they're doing, and they're promoting what I'm doing, and they're taking the time to come on the show and talk about it. So I appreciate them taking the time to do this, so that you young people, you out there, young athlete, you young boys and you young girls out there know that it's possible. Right? It is possible. You put your mind to it. You set your mind and your focus to it. It's possible. Okay? It will and can happen. And you just have to believe it. You just have to not let the distractions, uh, you know, take more of your attention than it should. Right? Because we're all gonna fall into that sometimes. We're all guilty of that. But you can't live in the areas of being distracted, where you take focus off what you need to do. Okay? So that's what we're going to help you out with, young athletes and parents, through this recruiting environment, because it's very just like financial aid is very it can be overwhelming, right? Even if you are getting offers and getting opportunities, it can be very overwhelming. So just be sure you join us this Saturday, so you can hear from a former pro, 8-9 years in the NFL, and Dexter Rogers, who played college basketball and went on to play pro beach volleyball, and now has a successful volleyball academy. So I want you to hear from those guys. And so I appreciate you joining me tonight, and I'm going to get ready to cut out this evening. Like I said, I didn't want to be long. I want to get back to watching this NBA draft and all the excitement that's going on with that. And so if you're not doing anything, young athlete, you should be watching. I don't care what sport you play, you should be watching, because you should be watching the NFL draft to hear the stories of some of these young men, just like we did the WNBA draft. So it can encourage you on continuing your grind, right? Continue to believe it, because it's guaranteed some of these kids, felt the same way as you did, but now they're on the big stage because they continue to not let the distractions, overtake them and focus on what they need to focus on, right? Some things come easier for some, but for most it doesn't. You're going to have to put your time and energy and grind in, and not let the distractions overtake you, and not to be caught up with what's going on with somebody else. Get caught up with what you got going on, right? That's what you have to ask yourself. Let me get caught up with what I need to get going and what I need to focus on, so I can make sure that what I'm trying to pursue happens, and that it manifests, and that it comes to fruition, right? So that's what's most important, right? Ask yourself, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, what is it that I need to continue doing or do better at, right? Being a better teammate, developing my skills and talents, all of that, on and off the playing field. All right, so that's about it. I don't want to keep going on and on, but I appreciate you guys joining me tonight on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to share this, and we will have opportunity for the chat to ask some questions when I do these interviews. We'll try to get some in, but I want you to hear the story, and I want you to, and I definitely do want you to ask some questions on Saturday, this weekend, Saturday morning at 11 Eastern time, and next Wednesday evening. And so I look forward to seeing you guys. But hey, get the word out there. I just want to, light the fire to let you know what's coming. And so I'm excited, and I look forward to seeing you guys this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Have a good evening and enjoy the NBA draft. Take it easy.